This is the Office Manager Diaries, a podcast all about the highs and the lows of professionals in office management around the world. We'll delve into their career journeys and diaries where they'll share their stories, tips for success, and only things office managers understand. Enjoy, and please remember to give us a follow. Hi everybody, welcome back to the Office Manager Diaries. It's Hannah Gray here with another episode, and this one is probably going to be my favourite one for a little while because we have got loads of people here, and I've just said to them all that I don't think I've ever had so many people in my bedroom all at once. But anyway, I am delighted to welcome all of the winners from the Office Management Awards Ceremony 2023. Hello everybody.
Hi, Hannah.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me. I'm going to do some quick introductions here. So, Tia, do you want to start us off and introduce yourself, please?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I am Tia Machunovic. I am the UK Operations and Corporate Events Manager at Avora Global. I've been here about a year and a half now, started as the Office Manager, and just recently have been promoted to this new position.
Amazing. Thank you. And Sakina, let's go to you next.
It's really nice to be with you today. So I'm Sakina Ba, and I'm working as an office manager, and it has been 6 years now that I'm working here, and total 15 years.
Amazing. And Sakina, you are based over in France, aren't you? So you are our international office manager and winner.
I'm the international office manager of the year. Yes, based in Paris, France.
Amazing. I love the fact that you've recited the whole title as well. That's brilliant.
Long but worth it.
Yeah.
Hiya, my name's Megan and I am the office manager at LendInvest.
Hi there, my name's Caroline. I am operations manager at the Valesco Group.
Hi, I'm Laura. I'm office manager and executive assistant at AM Best.
Hi, I'm Hannah Connor. I'm a team leader and an executive assistant at EY.
Hi, my name is Serena. I am the office manager at the Foundation.
As I say, it's such a pleasure to have you all on here and seeing everybody's happy faces in the aftermath of the awards. Hopefully you're still reveling in your glory there. So I want to just ask a few questions about the experience with the Office Management Awards. Obviously, there's lots of people listening to the podcast now, and some of them may be considering entering in future years. Some of them may have entered this year and perhaps not quite made the finals or the runners-up or highly commended or winners accolades. So it would be great to hear from you guys and hopefully inspire some other people who are listening and give some tips and things about the process itself, as well as, of course, find out some of your juicy stories from your Office Manager Diaries in our Won't Believe It But section. So I'm going to start off by asking Serena, what was the process like going through the entry form? How did you tackle that? Because I know, and some people say to me, oh my goodness, Hannah, it's such a long form. And what was your general approach to completing that? And are there any tips to share?
I think my approach was just to kind of approach it, kind of tackle it rather in a way that was too scripted, in a sense. People kind of write things that seem almost a bit fake and a bit designed. I tried to just answer it in a really refreshing, authentic way. So I wasn't necessarily boasting or selling myself as the best person there was for the award. I was quite authentic and just really down to earth about the way that I approached it. It was the Newcomer Award, so I think being candid about being a new office manager, I think, was how I managed to win. So I think when it comes to tackling the questions, there was just authenticity, I think, would be the key word that I would give out to anyone if they wanted to enter.
Perfect. That's a really good word to use for sure. Laura, let's go to you next, please, for the same question.
So I have entered the last 3 years. This is my first win. Woohoo! So there you go. For anyone listening that maybe entered and is a bit disheartened that they didn't, get to the finalist stage or anything, keep going because I'm proof that actually happened. So yeah, my approach was I'm a last minute girl, I have to admit. So I work best under pressure. So I think what I'd done is I won the Project of the Year award. And so for me, knowing that this was coming up, I started jotting notes. And so for me, I had lots of bullet points of things. It could be anything from the highs of the project, the lows of the project, the teams that made up the project, just anything that came into my mind. As office managers, you know, everything's buzzing around our heads all the time, and you're thinking, how am I supposed to remember that later? And I'm thinking of it now, I've got this to do. So I had loads of bullets on my phone. And then when it came to the actual application, I just referred back to those bullets and made sure that I incorporated those bullets into my answers somehow. Didn't include all of them, but that way I was kind of reassured myself that I was including everything that I wanted to include and showing off kind of any accolades or poignant moments of the project that really helped support my blurb for the project. So I think that's the way that I kind of tackled it. As you said, it's quite a long form, and so I also found that kind of copying and pasting it to Word and just going through on Word and then copying it back into the form, just so you could see it clearly a bit more on paper in front of you or on the screen, and then really get your teeth into it. And I kept going back to it, to be honest. I had 2 or 3 days, as I said, work under pressure, so I had 2 or 3 days, I think, before the deadline was due, and I just kept in those 2 or 3 days going back and then editing it.
And Sakina, let's go to you next.
Yeah, sure. So mine was kind of like late minute. So that was a rush moment for me, with a lot of stress, a lot of what ifs. But at the end, I managed this as it was a homework from school, a thesis or something to hand over to the teacher. And basically, I just wrote everything that I've accomplished so far and try to summarize everything with the exact number of words that you guys allowed us to have, because that was really short. At the beginning, I was like probably like 1 page for every question. So that was hard for me to shrink it to about like 250, something like that. So it took me many nights to review and review and review, but at the end, it was what I was looking for. I've managed to have what was important and what was meaningful, so that hopefully submission would be going to the finalist.
Yeah, and it absolutely did. It went all the way. So, Hannah, over to you, if you can, please, on the process.
So I think I took it quite seriously, actually. So it actually worked out quite well, because I'd had a recent job interview. So my CV was all up to date. All of my achievements were up to date. I had loads of examples already prepared from a previous interview. So I had a lot of those already on like a Word document. And I went through them just to see what was really going to shine, if that makes sense. And then that's how that kind of really helped me to fill out the form and complete it, and, you know, give all of those kind of really key highlights and put the most significant ones right at the beginning and discuss them in probably a little bit more detail than any of the other achievements that I put on there, as well as really going into what my actual job role was or is. Discussing what my job role is, talking about my responsibilities, what exactly I've done, but also bringing a bit of personality into it as well. I think that was really, really key. And also I did discuss with yourself, Hannah, when we had our kind of interview, about challenges that I'd had. And that was probably the most tricky question that I had to think about. And for me, it was being diagnosed with a long-term health condition and then having to manage being out of work for quite a long time and then coming back and, going through a phase return as a team leader and as a manager. So I think that was the part that I probably felt most underprepared for, was the challenging bit, because you're so used to having to sell yourself and say all the really positives that was definitely something I had to really, really think about. But it was a really good process, and actually I think it really makes you reflect on what you have achieved.
Yeah, it's quite humbling, isn't it, and grounding, I think, to go through it and look at that. But Megan, you haven't answered, have you?
So I totally agree with Laura. It's not an afternoon task. I have entered all 3 years, and I've taken the same approach each year, because well, it wasn't broke, so I didn't fix it. So I take the questions from the form, the JOT form, and I always put it into a Word document, because that way I can create more notes and all that kind of thing. And I actually have like a page dedicated on the Word document for each question. I then like brain dump everything that I needed to say or I thought would be relevant to the question, and then beef it out from there. I also kind of like employ my dad as a proofreader. So I kind of like to get the outside perspective of a non-office manager perspective, because if he can understand it, then like it's no guarantee that the judge, knowing that there are different types of judges, and like they're not necessarily judging because they have been an office manager in the past, but they've got like a segue into office management or something like that. So like, you know, there are recruiters, there are as well as obviously, you know, the other aspects within the judging panel. So if he can understand what I'm trying to convey, I'm pretty rest assured that like the judges would understand what I'm trying to get at as well, without kind of waffling on too much, because obviously there is a word count. And you don't want to like unnecessarily use words when actually it can be condensed into a much more concise. And I am a waffler, as we all know. I also think that the nominations are really poignant. And whilst they're not a massive thing and they're not a massive part of what the judges maybe take into consideration, explaining why someone backing you is really, really important. So whenever I've asked or like mentioned that, you know, I can be nominated, I always I never say nomination, I always kind of just say it's a testimonial, because when we are always asked for testimonials by our suppliers, and, you know, it's really kind of something that they can do to kind of say to the world how amazing we are. So it's exactly the same thing. So I was always, whenever I was with my suppliers and we'd like done a project, or, you know, we had some form of interaction that I knew I was going to talk about in the application, I was like, can you do me a real solid favor? Can you write me a testimonial, and I'll do one for you too.
Me a solid, I like that.
Yeah.
And I have to just say, Laura had also not long had a baby. So
yeah.
She said last minute, but you did have a fair bit on your hands, completed a project heavily pregnant with the new baby in arms. So it's not necessarily last minute that works. It's actually how much can you juggle at once. Yeah, Serena's clapping you here.
100%. It's that is such a monumental task in itself. So a fit out is like not an easy task when you're just a single entity, let alone creating another one. So it's very, very well done.
Do you know what though? I honestly think that both helped me in either way. So I think that being pregnant and doing a fit out was good, because I'm an overthinker, and actually the fit out made me concentrate on everything, not baby, and get paranoid about what was going on inside me. But then when I've had the baby, just these awards, and I said it on the night, it's just such an amazing platform. And to be able to, when you're amidst nappies and no sleep, plowing your brain somehow into something different, it just balanced it out really nicely for me. But no, you're right. And in terms of, I was like, oh, I'm not going, should I enter, should I not? And then I was like, I'll be kicking myself if I don't enter. And then I'm so pleased, obviously I have to say. But no, thanks, Hannah.
A similar thing, not that I've ever been pregnant, but and I wasn't pregnant when I was like doing the office management application, but I'd been at LendInvest for 6 months by the time I'd submitted the form. So realistically, when the applications opened, I wasn't 100% sure I was going to enter, based on the fact that I had 4-ish months of work to talk about. Granted, I had the rest of the whole year, so my coming to the end of like station 10 and everything like that. But realistically, I wasn't 100% sure. So when I came in, I was like, And then I realized there was so much that I was doing that actually, like, I could never shout about this work next year. So my time is to shout about like everything that I've done and implemented. I had to talk about it now, and the evidence was obviously super key. So words is really, really good, but seeing is believing. And short of physically bringing them to my office to be like, look what I did. I just created so many pictures and sent over so many visuals for them so they could really feel as if they've lived in my office.
I agree. And that's actually one thing that I learned from previous applications, was that I perhaps didn't include enough. I'm not obviously sure what everyone else has included, but that was actually a key bit of feedback from, I think, last year's application for me. And I think I'd included a couple of testimonials, as you call them, last year. But this year, I really, being a project as well, it probably helped. But I included, again, pictures, before and afters, loads more testimonials, but really being specific with those. So I back you there, Megan, completely, because I think that definitely enhanced my application too.
And the great thing is there's no cap on how much evidence you can give. You can literally send over the whole laptop and they've got to look at it.
Judges are going to kill you, Megan. It's funny because we've had people talk about the word count limit before. I have to say here, in respect of the judges, we can't allow reams and reams and pages, because they would have so much bedtime reading, so much more than they already have. I think they would shoot me if I didn't put a word limit on it. So yeah, just to clarify, people, that's why we have to have the word limit. And some people do struggle to talk about themselves as well. So I think it's healthy to have that word count limit, so that those who struggle don't feel like they've got to write essays and essays, but those who don't are restrained, let's say, to save the judges some time. So thank you for that. Evidence is really important. We ask that everybody uploads a CV first and foremost, so make sure that you've got that, the LinkedIn profile, but then any other evidence, and like you say, kind of that visual picture story does do it justice. And it's not all based on that. People have been highly commended runners up without the evidence in the past, because the written story in the entry form is so strong. But yeah, the evidence absolutely helps, because the judges do lap that up and it just backs up what you're saying. Tia, how about you?
Oh my God, it was so hard. So I did the newcomer one first, and stupidly, I did not check the word count beforehand. I know, like, terrible office manager mistake. So again, similar to you, I had like 800 words or, plus per question, and then copied and pasted it in, and it was like, oh no. So I spent a very long time just like deleting loads of stuff, trying to say it concisely. And then luckily you actually extended the deadline for submissions, and that's when I actually did the Sustainability and Culture Award nomination. So if you hadn't have extended it, I wouldn't have gone for it and wouldn't have won it. So thank you very much for that. Yeah, it was a lot of reworking, but by the Sustainability and Culture one, I was like, yeah, bish bash bosh, off it goes. And with the newcomer one, it was very much like send it off to all of my friends, like, what do you think? Can you edit? And just being so nervous about it. But by the second one, I was like, yeah, let's just get it out, send across the same files, same video, and then like just changing a few bits and just being like really like happy with it. So yeah, but it was a lot of fun, so thank you.
Are you sure you mean it was a lot of fun? It didn't sound like that initially. It was like, it was stressful.
Yeah, I think it was like the time pressures and the word count. But then yeah, as soon as it was extended, it just felt so like chill. It was like it was meant to be. Like it was like I had to get that in. Like the universe was like, yes, get your sustainability and culture one in. You've got this. And then it was like, okay, cool, I got this.
And you did get this.
Yeah.
So in the aftermath, let's stick with you, Tia, for a second. How did it feel when you had submitted that entry form, were awaiting the results to find out whether you were a finalist, then to find out you were a finalist, and then I suppose prior to the ceremony and the awards night itself, the build-up of that? So if you can answer how you felt in all those different moments, please.
Okay, so I feel like I need a little bit about backstory to explain all of this. So last year, Hannah, you had a very last minute ticket to the awards, and I went along not really knowing what to expect, by myself, sat on a table with the lovely people from Octopus, and saw the newcomer award come up. And literally, if you check my LinkedIn from last year, there's a whole post where I've like, right, watch this space, guys, next year, that's going to be me. So this whole time I've been like, yes, I am like gearing up towards that. That's what I want to do. So the gap between submitting and finding out you're a finalist was so nerve-wracking, because there was so much like, I don't know, self-belief that I would get to be a finalist, and then just like wanting it so bad. And truly, I thought that I was only good enough to be a newcomer, because at that point I'd only been in the role a year, felt very fresh, and I didn't really feel like I'd done a lot of changes to the company. Obviously, when it got put into paper, I was like, oh no, that's quite a lot actually. And then the more you write, the more you're like, okay, no, I could win this. I could go further. And then like with the sustainability and culture one, I was like, God, this would do so much for my career and be so like affirming of what I'm doing, the company I'm working for. Like sustainability is what we do. So to be able to get that award would just be amazing. And culture is where I feel like I make the most impact in the company, like working on like EDI and all sorts of things. So the whole point was it was just nerve-wracking. So then getting into that room, talking to other people, knowing who those other finalists were, and it was top caliber. Like these women were amazing. They've done so much. Like I remember writing notes when Sarah was doing like a workshop in one of the events recently, and just being like awed by the talent there. So then when the name was called, it was just jaw dropping, like completely. Like there's a picture, and my drawer is literally on the table, and just not believing it, like this must be a hoax, like is this real? And just being just so unbelievably proud, and then everybody else being so unbelievably proud as well, and just being like, of course you did, never doubted you for a second. And it was just, yeah, a lot of validation, the whole thing. It was just really amazing.
Good. And so that was the reaction from your colleagues, was it, as well, the sort of validation and that feeling proud and others feeling proud of you?
Absolutely. So in one of your talks last year at the PA show, you guys were talking about having like a smile file or a Tada folder. So I've done so many screenshots in the last week of all the lovely things people have said and their belief in me, and how they never doubted I would, receive the award, and how proud they are. And it's just been absolutely wonderful. I feel like sometimes you only really realize the value you have to a company when something beautiful like this happens. And yeah, it's been overwhelming, but really, really lovely.
Lovely to hear that. Sakina, how about you in terms of that build up once you'd submitted your entry, and waiting to find out if you were a finalist, waiting to find out from the ceremony how the results went? And as we say, you came all the way over from Paris, so what was that like for you, making that decision to travel?
Well, actually, I'm thinking a lot. I'm a person like would triple double check everything she does. So before clicking on scenic submission, it took me forever. And maybe that's an issue, or that's a good thing as an office manager. I don't know. So I think it was around like 11 p.m. That was close to the last time of the UK time. So that was probably like 1 hour, 1 a.m. or something. And I clicked, I was like, you know what? I've did my best. So let's see how it goes. And then at work has been like really busy lately. So I didn't really have time to think about like, will I make it? What's gonna happen like if I don't make it? Like what people's gonna think about me, if I'm good at my job, if I'm good enough, if I should switch, if I should do something else completely different. And then, as I already told you, during the ceremony, I was on the phone with one of my friends in the States, and I was refreshing my email randomly, and then I saw your email. I was like, it's 11 p.m. Like, what's going on? So I clicked, and then I saw you are finalist. I was like, no, wait a minute. Maybe I'm tired. Maybe I didn't read correctly or something. And I reread it. And then my friend was like, Sakina, are you still there? I was like, no, hold a second. I need a minute now. So, and then, yeah, I screamed. It was like, that's my ear right here, And I was like, I'm so sorry, but guess what? I just made it. I was like, made it to what? Like, you have so many things going on right now. Just tell me which one.
Oh, bless.
So I made it to for the awards, and I was like, oh, that's great. I knew it. See, I told you. Like, I never know like what you've been doubting yourself. Like you said, Tia, everyone has been supportive, and except me. That's always the case. So basically everyone was thrilled for me, really happy. People were calling me, telling me, see, you made it. You have everything to make it to the top. So basically, stop doubting yourself and just keep going. Whatever you want to do it. And no matter the result, you just went out of your comfort zone, which is really great. And that's the first step to take, to look forward to what can be possible. And then the ceremony. Yeah, I've booked a couple of weeks later, I've booked my train tickets, my hotel. I came with a friend. And basically, that was the longest night of my life.
Yeah, because we leave international till quite late.
Well, you left it until dessert. So basically, I was like, everyone was going on stage. I was like, okay, what's my turn? I mean, like, seriously, did they forget about me or something? And then mine came, and yeah, that was a really, really, really good surprise. I think it took me about like a week to realize what happened. And yeah, everyone since then congratulated me, told me that that was the least that I could achieve to bring this award home, and that nobody had doubt about it. The process in itself is, let's say, easy but stressful. But at the same time, you do so many things, and it allows you to grow only doing the process. And then when you achieve and you get the award home, it's like basically being, let's say, a new person. You've accomplished something that you never knew you could do. And at the same time, a really good way to get out of your comfort zone and to meet really nice people, to connect, to get into this great community that you did create, Hannah. And yeah, to me, this process has just been positive, like 2000%. I recommend everyone to do it.
2000%, that's an awful lot.
2000.
So, Kina, let's just stick with you, because you had mentioned in your speech, and I think you'd prepared a few words in advance. Perhaps you did that as you saw the night progressing. I don't know, because there was speeches and you may not have known that that's how we roll. But we're one of the only award ceremonies that actually lets people come up and talk as well. Most people just, there's loud music playing and you get up and you grab your trophy and you walk off. So we like to give a moment in the spotlight to you guys, because it is all about giving you a platform to be recognised on. But you mentioned something specific, which I know a lot of people really enjoyed in your speech. And I think your eyes are telling me that you know what I'm going to say, which was Mary Poppins. Can you elaborate just for a moment on that, please?
The Mary Poppins. I think I should put my stamp on this one so nobody steal it from me. Mary Poppins. Why Mary Poppins? Because I grew up with Mary Poppins. As a kid, that's the lady that makes everything happen. You don't know how, you don't know when, you don't know, but she does. And basically, to me, we are Mary Poppins. We do so many things. People expect us to do so many things that we are not supposed to do, but we are expected to deliver no matter what.
My tip for this week's episode is around office fit outs, what to expect and how you can prepare for them. Many of us will go through a fit out at some stage in our office management careers, and often it's thrown at us at very short notice. One of the things that you can do in order to be prepared for it is to use a fit out brief. This is a document that before you have conversations with the companies you're meeting around the fit out, for example, your fit out contractors that you're bringing in to essentially tender for the works. And I would always recommend 2 to 3 as a minimum, especially with something as big as this in terms of risk and importance, but also spend. Get that fit out brief in place. And this covers all the different things around the project itself. So information about your business, any move dates that you are targeting, so a move-in date, any fit-out commencement dates, lease commencement dates, what you want as a minimum in that new office. So meeting rooms, desks, and capacity to grow. So I often look at it as a day 1 and day 2 thing. Day 1, we want 250 desks, but we are growing. So day 2, we want 275. So they can show you a day 1 plan and then what you can pull out to create those extra 25 desks when you're ready to do that next stage. You can also have things like, we want really good air conditioning in all these different areas because these teams tend to be working longer hours and they're compact and they've got lots of equipment. Or we want soundproofing that's better than our existing meeting rooms and offices at the moment, so they can come and measure the decibels and the sound rating in each of those rooms and aim to have it better in your new rooms. You can talk about any specific branding, designs, etc., and aesthetics that you want at that stage, and maybe give them your Pantone colors and some marketing vibes and feels so that they can start to see how the design might come together, as well as then so many other things like kitchen points and what you want to see, reception areas, just everything that's high level. Pop it into that fit out brief. Again, we have templates for this on the Office Management Portal, and hand it to them either during that meeting and talk them through it, that very first meeting, or if you want to get a little bit ahead, send it to them before the meeting so that they can come in prepared with maybe even a very, very draft first stage plan or some ideas so that they're on the same page as you as to how they can support your project. When they come in to do that meeting, you can expect that they are going to give you a sales pitch, and that's great. But if you don't have that much time, as I never did in my office management roles, you can say to them, you've got 10 minutes to do your sales pitch. Sounds harsh, right? But you're in control of your own destiny in these meetings. So you can say, here's the agenda of what we're going to go through. You can share your budget if you want to at this stage. However, I personally wouldn't. I would hold that back until later on and see what kind of cost they're putting forward. And then share your fit out brief, share plans and stages and updates that you're at in terms of the floor plans or buildings that you're looking at, what's important to you, information about the culture at your company, the values and all these kind of things, the missions and where the business is heading, and then let them know what you want from them. This is what we expect, the format that we want it in. You've got 10 minutes to do your sales pitch. This is when we want your stuff back by, so on and so forth. Prepare really, really well for those first initial meetings. And I promise the rest will be much more smooth sailing than if you didn't. So let's go now, if we can, please. Laura, how was that for you and how are you feeling?
There was always things that I felt like I could have included, and I was like, oh, I should have. Suddenly things would come to my brain. I'm like, oh, I didn't include that point. Or so first of all, I guess my first feelings were kind of reflection of what I'd submitted. Even though I checked it a few times, as we all do, I was kind of in that, oh, I should have done that stage. But then actually I felt so proud of what I'd put down. As you say, it's quite humbling. You've got in front of you lots of work that ultimately you have achieved with teams, with external help, with internal help. But I had this kind of overwhelming feeling of just being pride. So I was just happy with what I'd submitted. And as I said, being pregnant, I was just gave myself a pat on the back for actually getting it in on time. And then I was quite nervous, awaiting to see whether I'd be a finalist. Obviously, when we got those emails, I was really, really, really happy, because for me, being out of the game at the moment, I say out of the game, just not in a professional environment 24/7, and it's the first for me. I've worked since I was 13. And so for me, it's the first time I've not worked for a long amount of time. And so for me, it was just that key focus to keep me amongst professionals, something that was for me, about me. It just, kept me focused. And I really just enjoyed getting those emails. I felt really, really excited. Then I couldn't wait to email my team and be like, hey, I still exist, and actually I'm up for an award. And so they were thrilled. And I actually have to say, my company have been so supportive of the win, and they weren't there on the night. They unfortunately had their summer drinks at the same day. How dare they? But they were really, really supportive. And just the whole process, it's just a huge recognition program that I just would encourage anyone to do, because I just really enjoyed it. You have so many different emotions that go through you, as I said, nervousness, being proud, excited. And so and then as the journey goes on and you get then the finalist email, you get the awards night. It's just a big buzz, really. I don't know how else to explain it.
Buzz is a great word. Okay, let's go to Serena next. How was that for you in the build up and after submitting your entry?
Yeah, so just after submitting your entry, it's quite a powerful experience. I think would be the best way to describe it. It's it's not the most rewarded position, an office manager. So to actually spend some time thinking about your achievements and having your team recognize that when they nominate you, it's one of the moments where you just feel quite buoyant and really proud of yourself, which, like I say, is not something that comes natural to this sort of position. I've been a personal assistant before. It's not the most glory-revolved role. And then in the lead up to the actual awards itself, finding out I was a finalist, there was a real sense of glamour. I don't know how else to describe it. You feel quite special. The way the awards are advertised, it just feels really special. You feel almost like you're going to the Oscars or something. It's like one of these events that was like the key part of my summer calendar. And again, just going back to the same point, it's not a role that's really rewarded. It's the only time I've heard of anything like this happening in this sort of role. And it was just one of them moments where I just felt like a little princess again, which is like, it was just a really good experience. And it wasn't, I mean, it's easy to say this now that I did win. It wasn't really about being a winner or being a finalist. It was just a great moment to feel recognized and just be surrounded by people that can really relate to the experiences that I have. I'm the only person who does the home support, we call it at the foundation. So, there's another one, but they work from home. So it can be quite a lonely experience. And I just got to surround myself by people that do the same as me, think the same as me, have the same tribulations as me. And it was just one of them really, really good life-changing experiences.
I love that. Do you know what I really like? Buzz is a brilliant word from Laura, but what I love there as well is glamorous, because when I created the spec as such for the awards, one of my words in there was that I wanted it to feel glamorous. And it's the first time there's hundreds of people that have been to these ceremonies now, and we've had lots of feedback that that's the first time someone's ever actually said glamorous. And yeah, I love that, because it's kind of hit my original brief and vision for the awards, because I always wanted it to feel glam. When else do we get to feel glamorous in these roles when we're crawling under desks among dust and all sorts of other things? So, or chasing mice, which is something I used to do regularly. Okay, Caroline, to you now, please.
One tip I'll actually just say is, I don't know kind of the timings of everyone's yearly reviews, but me filling in the application coincided really well with my yearly review coming up. And so I actually found it a really helpful process. I did what all the other ladies did in terms of kind of putting the questions onto Word and then putting a lot of thought into it and having bullet points and beefing it out, etc. But I found it so helpful that when I was then filling in my review form a couple of weeks later, I just had that locked down because I'd already gone through the process. So put the application in, and then I tried to forget about it. You try to, with these things, you try to pretend that you're not, you don't mind if you're not a finalist, let alone win. And you just feel proud to have even entered and backed yourself. But I really cared. It really meant a lot to me, especially just because this is an office management award. So submitted the application and obviously just waited anxiously for that email saying that I was a finalist, which was a brilliant email to receive. And I also kept that on the down low a little bit, because again, you don't want to tell everyone at work and tell everyone in your life you're a finalist and then not win. But as the build up kind of came, and then some of my colleagues started finding out, and especially my colleague Antonella, who's our office assistant, she started to really help me kind of really get excited for the awards. And then purchasing your ticket and making it real and thinking about what you're going to wear, etc., started to, it made it all fall in place. And I was just so excited to get there on the night. And just walking in and just being in a room full of peers was just something I've never experienced before. I've gone to networking events before, but it's never been in a room full of office managers. We walked in and the song Proud came on, and there was that wonderful video of all the snippets of all of our applications. And I sound cheesy, but I just got goosebumps. I just thought, oh my God, I actually am so proud to be sat in a room with all of these wonderful people. No, it was wonderful.
Exactly what I wanted, goosebumps. You guys are hitting the nail on the head here.
And then tears. You got both out of me that night.
I love tears. I love goosebumps. It's exactly what I want. The Proud song and the choir came to me in my sleep. These things and the previous videos we've done at the start of the awards, they come to me in my sleep. My sleeping brain is very creative. My reality, my awake one is not so much creative. It's my sleep that gives me the creative vision. Megan, to you next with the same question, please.
Yeah, so I think with, like the others, pressing the submit button after kind of like tentatively like rereading it, being like, is this good enough? Is this grammatically correct? And all that kind of stuff. Finally pressing the send button, like, you know, there's so much like weight that you've put on your own shoulders. It's not like it's like an external pressure, it's your own pressure that you've obviously put on your shoulders. It just kind of like gets released. And then it was kind of like very zen for like a little while, because you know that there's nothing you can do until about 4 weeks later, when then you start to get stressed or slightly stressed, because obviously you're like, when's it coming? And like I said, like on the night, like as every time someone put a testimonial, you get emailed and you get to see what people are saying. So, and it's great because they don't know that you get to see the testimonial. So it's like unapologetic feedback. So I have for all 3 years, cut and paste and put them all in Word documents. And when I'm feeling a little bit like, oh, this is not fun, I just go and reread it, and I'm like, actually, they do love me. But then I also had like loads of staff coming up to me and being like, so when do you find out? Have you won yet? I was like, oh, it's not until it's in June. And they were like, that's ages away. And I was like, oh, but it's a whole process. It's not a popularity contest. Whereas I think quite a lot of awards, not just in like the admin industry, but like just generally across the board, like it seems to be like public vote for just all categories. And when you don't know, when you are a smaller company or just a small entity within a company, then it makes it nigh impossible for you to think, oh yeah, I got this one in the bag. So the fact that you get judged solely on your evidence, your testimonials, and the words that you're actually saying about you is the key feature of like this particular awards. When you explain it to someone that has kind of like put an input for you, they kind of go, oh, that's actually really like a big deal. And I'm like, yeah, so this is so worth winning and so worth being put forwards, so much more than maybe other ones. And then when I did find out, like I was actually with another member, Lou, who I met on the office management course. She'd come to my office for like, you know, a catch up and everything like that. And she just found out a couple of days ago, and she was absolutely buzzing and everything. And she was like, when do you find out? And I was just like, oh, I'm sure it'll be like in the next couple of days. But then when it finally came through, I was like, oh, yes, thank God.
Hannah, to you, if we can please, on the same question about the build up when you found out you're finalist and before the ceremony.
Yeah, I think after like the form's over and all of that, I think you feel relief, a definite relief, because it's like, although you're clearly very passionate about it, if you know you invest so much time in doing it, even though you think, oh, I'll be fine if I don't make a finalist, you think that's absolutely fine. So when that's over and done with and you've done that, you definitely feel relief. But then going through everything and looking at the testimonials, because some people, you'd never know that that's what they think about you, or the impact that you've had on their, you know, not just their careers, but their lives, day-to-day lives, particularly when you're managing them as well. So I think it's, you know, you feel that kind of recognition. And then when you actually find out that you're a finalist, I think I just felt like honoured. I just really did feel honoured, and I couldn't believe that somebody had seen something in me to make me become a finalist. So that alone, I just felt, you know, very proud of. I think you feel pride straight away. And then it's even better because then you have got the build up for the night. So yeah, you do have to start thinking about what you're going to wear. And I'd looked at the videos of the previous years as well, because that was my first time coming to the awards ceremony, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to have to look at a dress. Think about where I'm going to get my hair and makeup done here, because and I'm glad I did, because it was so glamorous. It was really glitzy, glamorous. It was amazing. Yeah. And I think even that alone, just dressing up, feeling your absolute best when you come in there, even that makes you feel like, wow, what am I a part of? And then actually being there and seeing, you know, getting to meet people that are in similar roles. And you know, I hadn't met anybody before, so it was really great, even just being on a table with people that I didn't know and getting to know them and making connections with them, networking with them. So yeah, the whole experience was just it was just an honour. It really was.
And staying with you, Hannah, so just a little bit more on the ceremony itself. What was that like, the atmosphere? Did you feel recognised and celebrated even before you knew that you were a winner?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think I had some of the sponsors email me. I had some messages on LinkedIn as well. So even that alone, and I think I was quite nervous because I didn't know anybody that was going to be there. So just that alone makes you feel more welcome and makes you feel, I don't know, it just makes you feel like, oh, like quite important, like you've recognised me as a finalist. Like that's so nice that they've took the, gone through the effort of doing that. And then on the night, just seeing how big it was and how many people were there and how many people had the opportunity to actually speak to and get to know as well. And I think considering, because it was just two of us there was nobody else from EY there. So I think considering it was just the two of us, the amount of people that come up to me afterwards to say congratulations, well done, thank you, and the support from everybody in the room when I was called out to be a winner, even though nobody knew me, I just thought was amazing. Just to have that support. Everyone was cheering, clapping, and afterwards, as I was walking back to the table, everyone was stopping me to say congratulations and thank you. Just the atmosphere was so lovely, and everybody was really kind. And to hear some of the projects that people have been part of, some of their job roles, it was amazing to actually get to know people and what they do in different areas of the business and in the office manager role and in the different, I think there was some people on our table that they worked a lot with sustainability, even some of the sponsors as well, learning about Glasshouse. I'd never heard of them before, and that was really interesting. So I think the whole journey and the night itself was absolutely fantastic. It really was.
Brilliant. Yeah, the Glasshouse were fabulous sponsors. Caroline, let's go to you for the same question, please. The ceremony itself, how was that experience? You've already mentioned about the entry music and the video and things. How else did you find it?
The ceremony was brilliant. It was my first year going, so I didn't know what to expect. The venue is gorgeous. As soon as we turned up, the flower wall with the balloons and the lights just outside the room where everyone was taking pictures. I think instantly just seeing what everyone was wearing, I realized just how glam it was, and I was glad I hadn't stayed in the outfit I was wearing at work that day. The room was stunning. The little touches were just brilliant. You could see so much thought had gone into it. And I was there with my colleague Antonella, and we've done events before, and we were taking so many tips. The little scratch cards on the table, the name cards, the fact that we got a little card showing that a tree had been planted for us entering, how beautiful all the table decor was, the huge light. It was just brilliant. And then you add on top of that, the live music, the videos. It was spectacular, and it was. I don't know what I was expecting, but it just wasn't that. And I was expecting something good because it's an award ceremony, but I wasn't expecting it to be that good. And just the atmosphere in the room, as I said, walking in and kind of just being sat there and thinking, wow, I'm in a room full of people that get it. They are my peers, and they understand what I do every day. And I just want to talk to all of them and hear about, get tips from them and hear all of their horror stories. It was absolutely wonderful.
Laura, you're a seasoned pro at coming to the awards, but what was this year's ceremony like for you, again, as a finalist?
Oh, I loved it. And you're going to laugh at me, but this is baby brain. I just, up until about a week before, I just assumed it was at the same venue as last year. And so this just shows you my brain. For me, I kept on visioning the night ahead of the night. So I'd think about myself in the room amongst all of you lovely people, amongst the judges, seeing Hannah in her lovely glamorous dress that she always wears and pulls out the bag every year, looks completely different. Yeah, just I'd envisaged it in that room. And so when I'd got my head together and was like, oh my word, it's a different venue, I was excited. I was excited to see what it was going to be like. I think you've held an event there before, but in a different room. So I hadn't actually been up to that top part of that particular venue. But wow, I loved it. I think it was so clever the way that the entrance was up both sides of the stairs. Yeah, felt like you were going to a ball. And yeah, third year just keeps getting better and better, and I don't even know how it can. So I'm looking forward to next year already. But yeah, the decorations were lovely. I love how you know, the suppliers are incorporated into that as well, makes it very special. And each year, the little touches, like you were saying, the scratch cards and all of those little moments where people that might not even necessarily been up for an award still have the chance to win something. I think it's such an inclusive place for everyone. My sister actually came this year with me, and she's a PA but hasn't been to anything like this, and so she was astounded, is that the right word, at how everyone just comes together, how lovely everyone was. I think someone else was just saying about how everyone on your table is so supportive when you know that you're up for an award, or when they know you're up for an award, and vice versa, just the support on that table. So when your name gets called out, you know, they're whooping and cheering. It just keeps getting better and better, and I love being part of the experience. Hannah, you know, just keep sleeping more and then you'll get more ideas.
get those 10 hours a night and it will all come good. I know this is the thing because we started off on such a high bar, I think, because of the feedback we had was like, this was the best award ceremony I've ever been to, and I've been to loads from some people, and it was like, wow, okay, wasn't expecting that. So it was like, how do we make next year better? And then obviously new venue and new host changes it up a bit, but it's like, what can we do, like you say? And for me, it is about inclusivity, because we want everybody, regardless of the outcome of their entry, regardless of whether they're an entrant or not, to feel like they are part of that event. So thank you for recognising that. Megan.
As I said earlier, this is the best night in my calendar. I look forward to it from, well, as soon as you announce it, it's literally like I'm giddy about it. So I mean, when you get there, as Laura said, the last few years you've absolutely knocked it out of the park. So changing up the venue and walking into that, you get that kind of ooh feeling again. And then the room just fills with people that are just at a like top excitement, because there's so much kind of electricity in the room. But your knowledge of the network is insane, because it's like, you know, everyone's secrets, in the sense of, you know, exactly who needs to sit with who, and the suppliers, where to put everybody, and that is just a talent in itself. We ended up having glass house people on our table, and we had Katie, who I've known from the course as well, and she sat down and they said, oh, hi, nice to meet you, I'm Katie from blah blah, and oh yeah, no, I'm from glass one. She went, oh my god, we use you, and it was so exciting. And you did that because you knew that Katie was the only person that uses them in the whole of the network currently. So I just think that was just Katie's mind, and everybody else's, once she told everybody, mine was blown. But I sat back and I was like, oh, she's such a wizard.
Your team, Hannah, as well, I have to say.
Oh, phenomenal.
Exactly. But everyone's so friendly. And I think you can go to other events, whether it's sports events, you know, not just work events, but sports events, concerts. I've had my own wedding recently where you always get that one member of staff that, you know, doesn't really want to be there. But your team, and that's, you know, I'd like to say a special thank you to them, because they just coming around, and when you had when they asked to go and get your photos done after you'd won your award, just their congratulations and their mannerisms, they were lovely. So thank you to your team as well.
They're a great team. It's funny you mentioned about the floor plan, because I don't know if anyone ever really knows, but I do. You've acknowledged it as well. We really are hitting all the boxes here. But yeah, it's true. I sit and meticulously plan that out, thinking who will get on with who. Like Hannah, for your table, for example, because you're a manager and I know Lucy very well. And I can't remember who else I put you with now, but anyway, I did it so that I thought, right, you guys will get on, and Lucy will really appreciate being sat with you because you wouldn't have met before, and that kind of thing. So I look at, yeah, like you say, mixing in the sponsors and the suppliers with the office managers, but also who I think would get along and where they've got similarities, similar size businesses and things. So I do use the knowledge to try and make it good tables for people, and that's often why the rowdy tables get created as well, because I think on and you know, they're all a bit wild, and then it's like, that is the rowdy table, and I kind of guess which ones they'll be. Serena, what about you for the ceremony itself? And to go into my next question, which is, what did you win and how did it feel going up to collect your award?
Okay, yeah, I'll keep it relatively succinct about the ceremony, because I think I just want to echo mainly other people's points. It's firstly, Hannah, it was such a supportive atmosphere. You've done your entry, there's no competitive nature once you're in the room, you're just so happy and proud of everyone. So yeah, it just felt great. And then also what Caroline said, the small touches were just incredible. It felt it just, to echo again what I said before, you just feel glamorous, you feel special, you just feel really cared for. I mean, having steak at a ceremony as well, it's just this extra kind of elevated experience. My partner, the person next to him, was ill that day, so we got 2 meals. So he was very happy. He was the happiest man in the room, I think. Wasn't even nominated. But yeah, I think what I would also like to say is it's just really fun. Even if I don't enter next year, I don't know what kind of, if I'm going to feel in the right place to enter, or you know, it just might not be the right thing for me at the time. It probably will do though. I would still go because it's just fun. It's just a really good time, which, you know, isn't always the case. We're usually organising these events. So to actually just be there, enjoy it, and just let loose a little bit was just great. I'd definitely keep going. I'd recommend it to anyone. It sounds like I'm advertising for you. So I won Office Manager Newcomer of the Year. So to give you a bit of context, this is my first office manager role. I joined in November 2021. And prior to that, I had always been an executive assistant, personal assistant. So for me, it was quite exciting to have the opportunity to talk about what it was like to be a new office manager. It's not like I said, it's not a position that I've had historically. So it was a really kind of interesting experience exploring how that felt for me, and that process of learning all these new health and safety things that I was like, this is wild, I don't know anything about this. And just getting to talk about that in my nomination. And in my thank you speech, I just took the time to thank people that aren't necessarily recognized all that often. So I spoke about the cleaners, the security team, and I just wanted to use that moment to talk about that network that really allow us to flourish in our professional roles. So it was great. It was a really good professional experience.
Lovely. Hannah, you were winner of Manager of the Year. What was that like for you?
I think I was just like shell shocked when you mentioned my name, because I just didn't expect it at all. So yeah, I think just being a finalist, attending the night, I already felt so special and like I'd won, because I got to meet so many different people and be part of something so special. And then yeah, when you said my name, my jaw could have hit the floor. I was just so shocked. And then I think it just turns into a bit of a blur, because it's just like the adrenaline. Then you've just got to get up to the stage and think about what you're going to say. But somebody recorded what I said afterwards. And afterwards, because I was just so overwhelmed, I had to take a really, big, deep breath, because I hadn't thought about what I was going to say, or, because I just thought that I probably would get to finalist, and that was good enough for me. I felt honoured enough for that. So then, yeah, I was just completely shocked. I was overwhelmed and felt very emotional as well that I'd got there. And yeah, it was just that excitement, nerves. And then everybody was so, as I was saying, when I was walking back to my table and everyone was stopping me and saying, congratulations. And even throughout the rest of the night as well, everyone coming over to you, it was just so special. It really, really was so special. Yeah. And as soon as because my husband wasn't with me, so as soon as I had found out and we had like that bit of a break afterwards, I FaceTimed him to show him my award, and he was absolutely over the moon. And he is a football coach for under 14s. And the week before, he'd won Manager of the Year for his team. So we were both on FaceTime with our awards, holding them up. But yeah, it was amazing. It really was. The whole thing was amazing.
That's so lovely. And what about the reaction from your colleagues?
Oh, they were
when you got back, or you messaged them, what was that like?
They were absolutely over the moon. So I'd booked the day off work, the following day on the Friday. So I just sent a photo to my manager and let her know. And then she shared it on my team's Teams channel. And I was just getting texts from them all, and messages from them all, and they were just all absolutely over the moon. And I think because all of them had took the time to do those testimonials and things, I think they felt like they were part of it too. I think somebody else said, as soon as you put it on LinkedIn, the amount of thank yous just from people that you network with that you haven't even met before, but they're so happy for you as well. It's just really, it just makes you feel so proud. It really does.
So Laura, you won Office Management Project of the Year. Tell us about that experience.
Oh, it was absolutely brilliant. I loved it. I was very shocked. I don't know I don't know why, because you have a chance, obviously, but just hearing your name, and mine was a new name as well because I've just got married. And so for me, I was like, oh, okay, no, that is definitely me. And so my sister kind of shoved me out of my seat. Yeah, it was just such a special moment in my career, and something that I will never forget. It's I used to do dance competitions, and so I was used to being on stage and doing competitions, but I hadn't obviously for a while. And so being under those bright lights, it brought back so many memories of being on stage then, and just that moment where everyone's looking and listening to you, it's quite overwhelming. And I think even at one point, Hannah, you had to say, just breathe or something. You said something to me because I kind of just stopped in my tracks and was like, I don't even know what I'm saying. But then I got into the flow of it, and I really enjoyed just thanking everyone that I'd worked with on for the award. And afterwards, funnily enough, I didn't actually realise they were attending the ceremony, and actually they're up for one of the awards, were Mission Moves, who carried out part of my move out of the project, of the move out part of it. So it was lovely to connect with them. Hadn't seen them prior to the dinner, and so that was lovely. And yeah, just so special when everyone that then recognises that you've won awards says congratulations, and then you get your photos done, and that's when you do really feel like you're at the Oscars, as someone said before. Just that big sense of just relief that everything you've done has been recognized. There's no, I don't think there's anything better in life that if you plow all your energy into something just to get that little bit of return, or in this time a big return, is just, I think it's just lovely. And so it made my day, made my week. And as I said, especially being out of the professional kind of environment, I was able to forward the picture on to my manager, and also the couple of people that had done my testimonials, and they were just really, really thrilled, because I guess it just then comes true or rings true of what they've said as well. So just, I'm still smiling about it now. I'm grinning now. And I think I'm going to be grinning because I'm not actually at work at the moment. When I go back, I'm going to be shouting about it more.
Take your trophy in. I think what I shouted at you was not just breathe, I think it was just cry.
Just cry. Well, I think I did cry. So yeah,
because I just love a crier, as everybody now listening to this pod knows. I've talked about it many times. Megan, what about for you?
So obviously, just the same as obviously previous years, I was super nervous this year. Nothing is guaranteed. I won Office Manager of the Year, and there was so many people in this category. I think it was like 18 or 19 people, and the only difference this year to what it was last 2 years was the podcast. So in the previous 2 years, ignorance was bliss. You just knew people, but you didn't know exactly what they did, how they did it, and you didn't get to listen to like how amazing they were. Whereas this year, like there was at least 2 podcast episodes with like people that I was up against, so Alison and Dale. And then obviously, like when I see on LinkedIn that other people are like finalists in other categories, so like Barbara and then Sarah, and then like it did put a little bit of like anxiety in me, which is obviously very, very kind of like healthy and everything like that. The difference between the other categories and the Office Manager categories, because the judges got us all to stand up so we could all see each other and everybody could like physically see who the finalists were for Office Manager of the Year. And I was just standing there, and I don't know, like it was like I can't change the outcome or anything like that, but I kind of just like crossed my fingers and just hid them behind my dress, because I didn't want anyone to think that I was like super nervous. So I tried to keep myself composed, but once they finally said my name, I literally I felt as if I should sit down if anything, because I was just so relieved and so grateful. The roar of the room, to me it felt as if it just went on. And the wonderful thing, and like everybody else said, the most supportive part of the night was the accolade didn't die, even if I felt as if I was taking forever to get up to the stage. But the accolade didn't die until they handed me the award and I turned to the mic and I started to speak. And then the courtesy of everybody is that they all listened to what I had to say, which isn't necessarily like promised in a room full of people who don't know who you are. So the joy of being able just to kind of like say thank you to everybody and really kind of just share a little bit about me was nerve-wracking, obviously, because don't tend to speak in public on that kind of scale, but I'm so happy that I got to experience that and actually see the room in the sense of like be the person that looking out to everybody. And then, as I said earlier, like after that, the night just went, like I blinked and then all of a sudden the lights came up and it was all over, which was, I just wish that I was able to be a little bit more present, in the sense of there was just so many people coming up to me. I took photos with loads of people. I got to see all my suppliers that came up and said hi. And again, like I said earlier, I know Chris, and he was so happy for me, and we got to have a picture together, and he was just like, I'm so proud of you. And I'm like, I'm so proud of you. So I thought the night was just amazing, and the experience of winning just kind of was you know, the cherry on top of my experience within this award scheme. So yeah, no, I loved it. And I'm still sitting on a cloud nine. Leanne Bailey, who was also in my category, he brought a guest, and she happens to work at LendInvest. So by coincidence, one of my colleagues was there. And as I came off the stage, she said, Megan, stand by the PowerPoint and take a picture. And she just stuck it on our recognition channel again. And by within like half an hour, like people, this is like at 10:30 at night, like within half an hour, I had like so many people, you know, putting emojis on the picture being like, congratulations, so well deserved. And, you know, it was amazing. I thoroughly feel so privileged to be acknowledged, to be part of this community, to have made some, you know, of my closest friends, because not only do they like me as a human, but they understand what I do as a vocation as well. So it's just, I can't sing the praises of everybody involved, participant and organisers and everything like that, highly enough.
Caroline, what about for you? What award did you win, and how did it feel going up?
So I won Hybrid Office Manager of the Year because I'm Ops Manager and I am also EA to our CEO, Shiraz. I think similar to the other ladies, I was absolutely gobsmacked. The Hybrid was the second to last award of the evening, and they put all of the finalist names up, and I think there were 14, and they're reading all the highly commended women. And it just went a bit blank when they said my name. Antonella, who I was with, was filming me, and she, obviously where she's next to me in the proximity, there's a lot of chins in the video when I won, so I won't be doing that anywhere. But then obviously I made my way up, and that was all a bit of a blur, kind of hugging Lindsay, Davide, Ian from Greenzesk, the sponsor. Very emotional. Yeah, I'm quite an emotional person, so you know, I'd have bet money on the fact that I'd cry anyway, but I didn't expect to be that emotional. Yeah, my voice breaks a little bit when I think my last sentence was just how proud I am to be an office manager, and like I get a little croak in the voice. Everyone was just so supportive afterwards. I think, as others have said, you know, I was having people I've never met before coming up to me, congratulating me, saying how wonderful it was. When I got back from the stage, I think what really tipped me over the edge was Antonella was stood filming, and she was really crying, and it was just so lovely to see how proud she was of me. And then because of the timing, by the time I got home, it was maybe about 11:30. So everyone's kind of asleep. The only person, you know, in my family that I could message was my auntie who lives in Texas. So I texted her, and she's typically quite a stoic woman, but she was just so elated and telling me how much she loved me and how proud she was of me, which was lovely. Antonella had put it on our Slack channel. We've got a Slack channel, just myself, Antonella, and Shiraz, our CEO, and he just went nuts with how proud he was. Obviously he knew all about the awards, and you know, he'd supported the awards, and Valeska had paid for us to be there, so his reaction was lovely. And the next day I had to work from home, so it was a bit of a weird experience. I was sat at home on my own in my flat, and just my LinkedIn went nuts. People, like everyone messaging me, adding me, liking all of the comments that I'd been tagged in, sharing it with my family. My parents were just over the moon, kept crying, which was just so lovely, especially my mum. She's not a crier, but even my mum cried. And it sounds so cheesy, but I kept listening to Proud, the song, over and over again when I was just on my own, and just crying a little bit throughout that Friday. I can't remember the last time I was that proud of myself. So it was a wonderful, wonderful feeling. I feel so honoured to have been included and recognised. And as the other ladies said, you know, it's been a few weeks, but I'm still on absolute cloud nine, and that Star Award has taken pride of place in my living room.
Rightly so.
My award's on my desk.
I was thinking that, and I was like, is that a bit much? Like, don't mess with me, I'm an award winner.
No, absolutely not. Mine literally sits right at the front of the office. As soon as people walk into the office, it's the first award they see. They don't even see any of the awards that LendInvest have won. They see my award first.
Damn right.
Okay, so Are there any tips that you can share for people who are considering entering this year, or perhaps people who have entered in previous years, on how they can improve their entry so that it gets more high scoring and they get to the finals, or they get through to win or be a runner-up, or whatever the other accolades there might be? Any tips to share, please? Tia, I'll come back to you for this one.
Absolutely. Make a video. I truly think that's what really, separates you from the other things. Like, bring your, what's it called, the nomination to life. There is nothing better than them seeing you and seeing other people talk about you. So I had like a dozen people sort of give testimonials on tape, and I really think that brought it to life. Like, the judge came up to me afterwards and said it was an absolute delight reading my nomination, and that she couldn't wait to meet me. And I thought that was just absolutely lovely, and probably based on the fact that, the video was there. As I said before, like, I have a smile file, which I call Ta-da, and have loads of screenshots, and I sent all of them across, with context and a bit of stories behind each one. And again, it brings it to life. It's not just the submission. The submission is great and is so fantastic, but when you've got like a review in the office, that's amazing. And I'm sure that had something to do with, getting a promotion recently, because the timing just works out so great. But yeah, just all those extra bits that you can add in to make it really sparkle, and just make sure your personality comes across. Like, don't talk in a way that isn't you. Like, you can probably tell I'm not a corporate person. I am very sparkly as a person, and that comes across in the nomination. And I think that's just super important, and get people to have a look at it and make sure that they can see you. Like, when my friends were reading my nomination, I kept saying to them, like, I wasn't so fussed about like the grammar. I was like, can you see me in this? And they're like, yes, absolutely. And that's when I knew it was ready to go. And I think that was probably the most important thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Sakina, anything to add on the tips there from you?
Well, I'm not quite much a video person, so the paper worked very well for me. I mean, paperwork would be to go to the essential with like specific example, and to be brave, but at the same time being really personal, really make your own, and to specifically choose, because we have so many, for example, achievements, or how we can improve ourselves. So to, let's say, follow your gut. The first thing that comes to your mind, put it down, because that's usually the best.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really good advice. So now, can you guys tell us something from your office manager diaries, a you won't believe it but moment, please? Megan, to you first.
It didn't happen to me, but my guest Zoe, and just for context, in the first year it happened to me. In the second year it happened to someone, one of the girls at Cake Drop, Anna or Nicola, I can't remember. But my guest's dress zips broke halfway through the ceremony, and there was a point where she'd gone to the toilet and she'd been away for a while, and then I was like, where has she gone? Like, honestly, she's wild. And then I had a man come up and tap me on the shoulder, and he was like, your friend, someone's told me to go and get you. And then I just saw her sheepishly, like holding her hands behind her back, with her back flat against the wall. And she was like, summoning me over. And I was like, oh God, what is she like? And then I walk over and she was like, so my dress broke. The whole of her zip had just broken from the middle to the end of the zip, just before her bum. So you could see like her pants, basically. And then I was like, okay, so what you need to do is you need to go downstairs, because I don't know when my category is going to be announced, but you need to go downstairs, or you need to find someone. And you know what? This shouts why your team is amazing, because then Mel, I think it was maybe Leanne, was walking by and I went, Leanne, have you got by any chance any safety pins? And she was the hero of that moment, because she found us 2 safety pins, and we managed to like put her dress back together, and essentially, well, none was the wiser. It was really obvious that it was like safety pinned, but she was able to like peacefully go about her night and enjoy the rest of her evening.
Very good. It's funny, because if it was Mel, about 15 minutes before we opened up the award ceremony, my dress broke.
Oh no!
In 2 places. And so Mel already knew who to go to for safety pins, because we had to pin the gold thing that was on my dress back on, because it hadn't been sewn on very well. So I bought a black dress and added a gold thing to it. And the like, I can't remember what you call it, but like the kind of corset style plastic stuff to hold you up in like an off the shoulder dress was pinging into my like near my shoulder and my armpit here, and it was really painful, just the plastic just jabbing me.
Yeah.
But to put a plaster over that and a safety pin over the gold. So whoever probably got that for Zoe was well versed in where to go.
And like I said, it's a
Honestly.
tradition. So I would love to know whose dress breaks next year, because it was me the first year, Anna or Nicola the second year, and then Zoe the third year.
You've just jinxed someone.
So the only time I've sort of been a bit blown away is when in a very previous role, which as I said was not office management, but I was quite a high manager, and one of the younger ladies came in and was like, T, I think I'm pregnant. And then I zoomed out and got a pregnancy test for her, and she was. So I was like, right, that was the beginning of her journey. So that's probably the most wild, but it's something different.
What's in your Mary Poppins bag? Pregnancy test.
Exactly.
There you go. Wow. Okay. Wasn't expecting that one. Over to you, Sakina.
Well, mine would be my previous job. My boss took over with the old dog that he brought at the office every day. And at some point, I don't know what happened, but the dog was sleeping over at the office. And basically, being an old dog, he was doing his thing, So every morning, me or one of my colleagues, the first one coming at the office, were supposed to clean the office before doing the regular job. And that was becoming a nightmare because I didn't sign up for this. But I'm like, you know what? That's part of the growth of the journey, I guess.
The growth of the journey is picking up dog crap. I don't know about that.
This is my first job, so do I really have like anything to say about this? Should I leave? Should I stay? So yeah, I stayed, obviously. And the dog passed away probably like 6 months later. Well, let me tell you that I was kind of like really happy. But don't take it the wrong way. I love animals, right? I have animals myself, but this one, that was tricky. So basically now, every time I see a Chihuahua in the street, this is really not a good.
Is it triggering? It triggers
It is.
Oh, no.
That's the most triggering memories ever.
I have a Chihuahua. I'm glad she's not here.
I'm sorry.
No, she's a mixed breed, so you wouldn't necessarily know straight away. That's so funny.
So she doesn't look like a Chihuahua, right?
Not really. She's got the size of the body, but it's honestly, the rest of us here were on mute whilst others talk, and I don't think I've seen so many people just go into spontaneous laughter. I've got tears. Oh, still laughing about that because Tia and I just went into real laughter then about the dog dying, and it's not funny, but it's funny because you're like, I would be relieved when that dog died as well. Oh dear. Sick bitches. Right. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for being on the Office Manager Diaries. Congratulations to you all for winning. And yeah, thank you for sharing your stories.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Hannah, for having us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
This episode is sponsored by the Office Management Portal, our free online membership platform aimed at connecting, supporting and empowering office managers in a simple to use all-in-one self-service resource. You can sign up right now at www.theofficemanagementportal.com and click the sign up button in the top right. If you want to upgrade your account to our premium membership at any time for unlimited downloadable templates and monthly expert masterclasses, use the code THEOMD for 25% off. That's THEOMD for Office Manager Diaries for 25% off. Thank you for listening.